Good morning. Today discussing about Anami Approach. This approach was propounded by Merton. Anami is a condition characterized by the relative absence of weakening or confusion of norms and values in a society or a group. The concept of Anami was originally developed by Durkheim to explain division of labor and suicide. But it was Merton who used this concept 41 years after the publication of Durkheim's book Suicide to explain deviant behavior in terms of functioning of social and cultural structures in the society. Anami involves a breakdown in the cultural structure occurring particularly when there is disjunctions between cultural norms and goals and the socially structured capacities of members of the group to act in accordance with them. Anami is the counterpart of the idea of social solidarity. Just as social solidarity is the state of collective ideological integration, Anami is a state of confusion, insecurity, and lawlessness. According to Merton, the disjunction between goals and means and the consequent strain leads to the weakening of men's commitment to the culturally prescribed goals or institutionalized means, that is, to a state of Anami. Merton maintains that people adopt themselves to these dysfunctions either by rejecting the cultural goals or the institutionalized means or both. He gives four varieties of deviant behavior. Merton thus locates the sources of strain not in the characteristics of individuals but in the culture and or social structure. He says the social problem arises not from people failing to live up to the requirements of their social statuses, but from the faulty organization of the statuses into a reasonably coherent social system. However, Merton's theory is incomplete and inadequate. Also, all social problems cannot be perceived as the result of the responses to strains or mode of adaptation and adjustment. Merton has identified five modes of adaptation available to those who react to goals and means of society: conformity, innovation, ritualism, ritualism, and rebellion. Conformity describes the acceptance of goals and also of the means of the society. Innovation represents the acceptance of the goals but the rejection of the means. For example, a student accepts the goal of passing the examinations and obtaining a degree but uses unfair means to pass. Thus, Merton points out that poverty does not cause crime, but when poverty is linked with the cultural emphasis on monetary success or as a dominant goal and a poor individual cannot compete because of his poverty for cultural values, then the criminal behavior is the normal outcome. Ritualism is the rejection of the goals but acceptance of the means. For example, a student goes to college but does not attend his classes and spends time instead in the college canteen. Ritualism involves the rejection of both goals and means. For example, when an individual fails to achieve his goals by legitimate means and at the same time cannot adopt illegitimate means because of his superior socialization, he rejects both goals and means and becomes a drunkard or drug addict or a vagrant. Rebellion is characterized by the rejection of the goals and the means and an attempt to adopt new goals and means. Merton's typology of models of adaptations. In order to be able to cope with this pressure, individual recourse is made to one of the following five behavioral patterns: conformity, acceptance of cultural goals, and adaptation to social change. Innovation, acceptance of cultural goals, non recognition of legal means to achieve the goals. Ritualism, lowering, abandoning the cultural goals and maintaining legal means to achieve them. Retreatism, rejection of cultural goals and legal means, and finally rebellion, combating the objectives and the means to achieve change social structures. According to Merton, people from lower social strata tend to resort to such means because they have fewer opportunities than higher strata to achieve cultural goals. The different adaptation reactions and the availability of plus and rejection of negative of cultural goals and institutionalized means can be given below. mode of adaptations, conformity, cultural whole has, and institutional means also we have. Innovation, there is no culture, there is cultural goals, and we don't have any kind of institutional means. And ritualism, there is no cultural goals, but we have institutional means. Ritualism, we don't have any kind of cultural goals and institutional means. And rebellion, we have a positive or negative cultural goals and institutional means, or otherwise we are changing or reforming our social goals. Merton's theory has been criticized by Guhan, Kleinert, and Limit. Their main arguments are Merton's theory is incomplete because he has not explained who will reject the goals and who will reject the means. Only structure has been given importance and individual personality has been ignored. Strains do not necessarily lead to deviant behavior. The theory neglects the important role of social control. Merton's assumptions that deviant behavior is disproportionately more common in lower classes is not correct. Anami may be the cause rather than the effect of circumscribed life chances. Guhan has argued that Merton has not explained the determinations of the mode of adaptations of an individual. Guhan has also said that Merton has failed to account for the non-utilitarian crime and juvenile delinquency in which people engage only for fun and not to meet specific goals of the society, for example, vandalism or a car theft for joy rides, etc. Finally, the theory does not take into account the social psychological variables or the social structural elements which might explain the priority of one adaptations over the other by the individual. Thank you.